Yeah, I think we are good to go and we can start now. So, yeah. So, hello everyone, and a very good evening to all of you all. So, on behalf of LS Regia School of Architecture, I welcome you to another session of our Insights lecture series. This is the fourth interaction in our 2021 Insights edition. So today, generally we do have our BR students as well, but today we are also joined by, apart from our BR students and our faculties, we are also joined by we are also joined by our graduate batch of BH and also our master students to welcome. Yeah. So thank you all for joining us this evening. Now, before we move ahead, I like to take this opportunity to introduce first and foremost our team from LSR who works tirelessly to get these sessions arranged and work day and night to deliver them to you. So within our team, we have architect Mudula Pillai, architect Anuj Gudekar, architect Meghna Ghate, architect and architect Arun Fizado. Yeah, and none of these sessions would be possible without the guidance of our senior faculties, especially architect Anmol Varang sir and our principal Mandar sir. Of course, many of you may not be able to see them right now on your screen as they've kept their cams off, but nonetheless, it's an applaudable job that they have been doing since many years now, and to get these amazing sessions in front of you. And I, of course, most people know me, but I, Architect Swanand, will be conducting this session for today. Yeah. So, and while we are with while the session is on, our participants who have joined us via Google Meet, you can write down your questions and post them in the chat box here. And also for all our friends who have joined us via YouTube, you can also post your comments and your questions. We will try and answer most of these questions and queries as we move ahead. So before I introduced our guest for today, firstly I'd like to tell you about today's theme and to the format of today's session. It's a little bit different than the regular webinars that we all have been seeing. So when we're in college as students, we all have our doubts, right? And the doubts are not just here and there, but they are imbibed with a lot of anxiety as we move ahead in our academics, and especially the time comes when we are about to face a professional world that awaits us. Some of us know where we are heading, but for a lot of us, we take things as in when things unfold, and there's usually no track of time for it. So we thought that this session could be titled as Route to Route, which is primarily going to be a question and answer based session. And with the help of our guests here today, we will try to identify their routes and see how they, or try to identify how they choose a specialization in architecture to carve out a route for themselves. And in this process, we hope that we hope to decipher a few doubts and questions that most of us been having as students, and our students who are heading towards their graduation will also be having. Yeah. So without any further explanations, I think I will start with today's session. So today it gives me immense pleasure to introduce our guest here. So our guest is architect Hrishikesh Phadke. Architect Hrishikesh has a specialization in landscapes from SPA Delhi, and he heads his practice Newarch Landscapes from Mumbai, with a strong belief that people are its most valuable asset. Newarch is designing open spaces for the past 21 years, and projects executed all across the country and abroad as well. Rishikesh is our alumni. Also, he is a beloved faculty from our master's program in landscape architecture. Yeah. So I welcome you, Rishikesh, here. And along with Rishikesh, we also have
Thank you.
a few team members from Newarch Landscapes. I welcome architect, landscape architect, and executive partner of Newarch, Shalaka Kerkar, who is also our alumni, and she has completed a master's from SPA Delhi. Along with her, we have senior design
Thank you,
lead
Swana.
at Newarch, architect Tanvi Chaudhary, She's a graduate from Asmita College of Architecture and completed her landscape masters from BMCA Pune. And along with her, we also have architect and design writer at Newarch, architect Saili
Oh,
Sandragekar, also a graduate from Asmita College. And Saili is also our alumni from our master's batch. Yeah. So welcome Hrishikesh, Shalaka, Tanvi, and Saili. I just request you guys to just put your cameras on so everybody would be able to see you. And so that will be yeah. So
You can see us
yeah,
now?
we can see you.
Okay.
thank you,
Saili, I
Swanand.
think we are still not able to see you. So could you please put your camera on?
She's still
Okay, I think
waiting
we've
on
lost
us.
because of some connectivity issue. She might be joining us again. Yeah. Okay. So before we start, as I told you, this is the kind of a Q&A session, a different format, because normally what would happen is we would invite our guests and they would show certain projects. But I think our guest today had a different idea that let us ask a few questions that students may have, or even look at the entire journey of and while answering those questions, we could look at the journey of Newarch. My questions, there's a very small video clip that we'll see right now, which shows the entire journey of Newarch for the past 21 years. Yeah.
So, Anand, I suppose the question answer session is not just you questioning and we answering.
Well, I hope we can keep it like well, but let's see.
Okay, so 1-0 is already started.
Matlab, do not give us a feeling of other way, in the sense that generally we are jurors. Right now we feel like students.
Well, it's good to be back in a student shoes as well
No,
some
no,
point of
no.
time. So let's move on at the video. I hope everybody is able to see the video and will be able to hear the sound as well. So that's just a second. I think I have. Uh, yeah. Uh, Sorry about the small glitch. There was some network issue here. So yeah, so that was a quick glimpse into the journey, the 21-year-long journey of Newarch Landscapes. And I would like to ask Hrishikesh first to share some of his memories as an alumni, and the same goes for Shalaka as well. Because of course there's a time gap between both of you. So do share with us your memories of LSR. We would like to hear them.
See, if you allow me to speak, Swanand, you know that I can go length and breadth, and then I can exceed your program time. So I have kept, and the rest of the three my teammates are going to stop me from speaking extra. So coming back to my point is, see, my fond memories of LSR as a college obviously are not from this building. I don't know how many of you current batch who's going to pass out or who has already passed out knows that your college for us. My
Hrishikesh,
college
I
and
think
my entire you're not you can't hear me.
no, there
Hello.
is some network issue. We can't hear you.
Okay, just
Yeah, now we can hear you.
yeah, just a minute. I'll just switch over to another network.
Joining us, why don't you give us some of the thoughts
Yeah,
of what
I
LSR was
think
for you?
Yeah,
yeah.
sure.
I
In
hope
the
now you
sense,
can.
once we, yeah, sir, you
No,
can.
go ahead,
I
Swanand.
would
No,
continue
go ahead,
and
go
you
ahead, go ahead,
can.
go ahead.
Yeah.
No, I was just
Okay,
telling
fine.
the current batch of students what was the size of the college what we had, and my entire college one floor footprint was equal to your entire passage area, and that's where we all cramped as 60 plus 60 students as two batches. And but then the quality of bonding we had, we still cherish our old memories. We still just a couple of days back on our alumni group, somebody posted a very long poem about वो LSR के दिन, वो LSR की चाय, वो LSR का cutting. You know, rather than the canteen, we were more attached with the canteen owner, and he was such a lovely person that everybody who has passed through from that building has fond memories with all that. See, my entire campus had 20 feet in the front, or not even 20 feet in the front, 10 feet in the back, and then you must go and see that. Only then you will imagine, but you can visualize. But what it taught us, it was a fantastic combination of our principal that time and the college building. My door used to get shut down at 7:30. No professor, no teacher, no professor, no visiting faculty and student would be allowed inside the college after 7:30, and literally he used to lock the gate. But maybe as a student I was frustrated, and every student was not happy with that. But today what I've realized, that what it has taught me is absolutely on time. I'm always on time. In my 21-year career, I must have been late for a meeting only 1% of all the meetings I have attended. I've always been on time. It really has taught me. Maybe in the student age, I never realized certain things, but as a professional, it has taught me a lot. So I think
I can relate to that, because for when I told you that Hrishikesh has been a beloved faculty for all of us, and I being a part of the masters department, we all students used to come late, and Hrishikesh used to always be on time, no matter it's raining or whatever situation may be. So I can relate to that. And that Chalaka, yeah, from you, because
Yeah,
you from
for
a
maybe
2006
Hrishikesh, sir, he was insider at 7:30, but I suppose half of the time I was outsider. And then that there was another level of joy when you are not allowed. And we used to do, in the sense, half of our life, I suppose, we have spent in our 10 by 10 ka canteen. and then it would have been it would generally be a king size breakfast. So till the break, first break, we used to have this lavish breakfast with all misal pav and chai, and that time coffee kind of a fancy was not there. So we were very happy with 1 rupee cutting chai. I suppose half a time we have not even paid that even 1 rupee to the canteen uncle. And it was such a joy that everyone is locked inside and we are doing all level of time pass outside.
So I think I was about to ask all four of you a question, but I think somewhere in your explanation, Hrishikesh and Shalak, you both have given the answer. So I want to ask Saili and Tanvi a question here is that if you had to reflect back upon about your perception about the overall college situation in your case, because you both are not LSRIs, of course, but at least as students, we share the similar feelings. So how has the entire perception changed when you were in fourth and fifth year, especially the first couple of years when we come in our college, we are trying to adjust ourselves to the entire new scenario, unless we have a backdrop of architecture. So with you guys, how was it in your college setup?
Okay.
Yeah, Tanvi, you can start, no problem.
Acha. So in 2 words, I'll say it was a journey from I to we. Okay. So when I was in college, I was like, I want to get a good marks, like every good student wants. I want to get a good marks. I want to have till 5th year. I want to get it everything cleared and everything superb. उसके बाद I wanted to do masters, so I did masters. After that, I wanted an internship in a particular office which I want. So that was Newarch. So I got entry in Newarch. So after, so my internship also started. So after going to Newarch, it was not I. So it shifted to we because it was not just a designer, but there were a number of people who are working on the same. So I started or I changed my perception from I to we, and this is how I look back. So I can see so many years now from my college till now, till 2020, it have changed drastically. Yeah.
So Saili, what's your? I think as Tanvi and Saili, you both are like a batch up and down, something of that sort. So
Yeah.
what has been your experience, Saili? How has your perception changed?
So from final year BArch, then MArch in LSR, that is 3 years, and now I have learned that the more experience or the more knowledge I'm getting, the more there is left to explore. And then the world just keeps on broadening, and then suddenly it's like, oh my God, this is still left to explore. So in first year architecture, right from first year architecture up to the final year MArch, this has been an increasing graph as to how much I don't know versus how much I is left to explore. So yeah, that is like an eye opener with every step.
Okay. So I think somewhere Tanvi has guided me to the next question. She has roughly told us that she knew that she wanted to come into landscape, and that's why she chose an internship also in a landscape office. So what about you? So Rishikesh, I'll start from you. How did you decide in your academics, or what was the point where you thought that I want to do a specialization in architecture? That is the first step, and after that, either you may have got inspired by somebody or you may have decided okay landscape ही करना है.
ये क्वेश्चन
tell you a
मतलब
quick-
ना पीछा नहीं छोड़ने वाला है. आर्किटेक्चर में जाओ वो पूछते हैं, लैंडस्केप में जाओ ये पूछते हैं, अभी इधर आओ तो भी पूछ रहे हैं.
चला कि
Anyway,
तुमको
yeah.
भी पूछने वाले हैं या
Yeah.
I decided to become an architect in 8th standard. I don't know why, but I just had a tremendous fascination about nowadays you don't get these, but then you must have seen these ammonia prints. You get blue color printout with a white line on top of it, and then the kind of graphics lines, and it has always, I have always liked it. Somehow I've liked it, and I did my 12th standard in 1992. Don't look at me like I'm a dinosaur. I'm still as part of this and active. So I'm not a dinosaur till, but then 92 I did my 12th standard, and obviously that time we had very limited choices of getting into a profession, whatever you call it as a profession. But somehow at 8th standard, I had decided that I'll become an architect. And I was again very sure. Again, a fond memory of college. My college timing was fantastic, 7:30 to 1, and you have to get out of the college at 1 o'clock just because the another batch of commercial design would come in and occupy the same property. So what it has taught me is how to complete your work on time. Can you believe that in my entire 5+2 years of college as a BArch and 2 years as MArch, how many times I must have worked late night or overnight? Maximum 4 or 5 times. And I still push my office to get out of my office by 8 o'clock. Don't work extra for me. Don't work extra for office, anything. Anyway, coming back to this point, my point is, because it was 7:30 to 1, I was absolutely sure that I'll work every year. And every vacation I have worked. And I have worked in various fields since my 8th or 9th standard. I have worked in a shop where I have sold, I'll just take help of my teammates because I forget words invariably.
Perfume.
Perfect.
Essence.
So I worked in a shop where in a Diwali season there was an extensive sale which used to happen. I have worked on that. I have worked on optician shop, and I can repair this on my own. So I had very sure. So in first year, when I did my first year, and in vacation, I luckily happened to work with a landscape architect. It was a work only for 1.5 months. So in second year vacation, I worked with a licensing architect. So in third year, I decided licensing architecture or this type of box architecture is not my cup of tea. And I decided that, okay, this is something which I have seen in 1993 when in first year. So it's a landscape architecture, which I'll do it. So I did my electives in landscape. I did my thesis in landscape. I did my professional practice in landscape. So when I went for a master's to SPA, generally they ask you for expression of what you call it as SOP, statement of purpose. Now this sounds very funny, but that time I was very, very, proud for that statement that I want to be jack of all trades and master of landscape. So that was my opening line as far as the SOP was concerned, and that is how I have actually sent that level of letter for a SOP to MArch admission, and somehow I don't know, I got admission. So okay, that's about when I decided. And I very strongly suggest every architecture student to set up or decide their career path much before final year. I know currently the audience is more of final year as well as passed out thing. Don't wait. Why you're spending those 5 years? You have to start deciding from the third year onwards so that you prepare for it and then get into it. Okay. Over.
Saili, what about you? Of course, I know Saili's answer lately because we've been batchmates, but I still would want to our students to know.
Okay, so I was always an art student in my junior college, and then I did architecture, and I was interested in the softer parameters more than the technicalities of it. And I always felt that architecture always had a space, and it was always about the people, the psychology of people, and the environment that it carries. So then I wanted to go into a field which is offering me all of this together. And I felt that landscape architecture is the best possible field that has a combination of the space, the people, the natural forms, and all of it combined. So then I came to the conclusion, I think after my BArch, it was not decided during BArch, that I wanted to do a master's in landscape architecture.
Okay. I have another question related to that, but I think I'll ask you after some time. Shalaka, what about you?
My decision was not very idealistic the way maybe Source or Saili's way. I was, in the sense, I had decided to pursue my architecture right in the 8th standard or so, and my inspiration was my elder brother, who is artist. He's an artist from JJ. From there, somewhere I got introduced to architecture, and I said, yeah, that is a good field where I can explore and I can study less. I thought there will be lot many subjects which I would get to escape from, but that was not the reality. I had that ghost of history always with me. Anyway, but since in the year of, I suppose, yeah, third year, we got introduced to the subject of landscape. And in spite of we having very khadoos professor, which is over here, right, sitting here, Mr. Phadke, my interest in the field still persists, and that is where I decided to pursue my master's into this subject.
Because I heard a very first a story regarding that Chalaka, that you never liked. I know that in your times in LSR, you had elective on landscape, right? It was not like today we have this faculty team also at one point of time, but when you were in college, you hardly liked the subject, is what I'm told.
Who
So
said that?
was
It
it?
was it was not because of the subject, it was because of the professor, and we were very sure that he would not be giving us a scoring mark. And fortunately, at that time, we were at so much primitive stage that we had AutoCAD as our elective subject, and that being a scoring subject, we all scored, I suppose, above 95 into that subject, and we were very sure that this person will not give us even the passing marks. So better
But
not.
then what changed? Sorry, I have interrupted you. But what changed that you did not like a subject because of the faculty,
No,
and
no, it was
eventually?
never like I did not like the subject. As I mentioned, in the third year itself, I had decided that I would be doing my master's in the field of landscape architecture. But I did not wanted my KTs because of the subject. So I decided, let us deal with that later on. Right now, let us have a very smooth and uh, I would say, yeah, smoother journey.
Yeah.
Afterwards, let us see what happens in SPA.
I think it's a very kind of a different feeling, because I think you would have never thought that the person that was there in your third year as a faculty, you would
Yeah.
end up in his office only, and at a executive partner level also. So that is a commendable job, I would say.
Yeah,
And
I have met both of them in the year of 2001, I suppose. When it was, I suppose there was some puja at our new campus. As sir had mentioned, I was a student, an all-time student from the old LSR, which was there in Bandra West. But there was a transition period, and all of our exams used to happen in new college. And there was some groundbreaking or some kind of a puja which had happened. Yeah, in the first year, I was as usual, or as any general student, I was very enthusiastic volunteer, and I was there as a part of all the arrangements. And he was the guest of honor. He and his wife, who is Yogini ma'am, who is also alumni of LSR. And that is where I had met them both for the first time. And yeah, that time I had never I never had that in mind that I would be ending up practicing with them.
okay. So that's a very fascinating thought, and I think it's and I must commend that you guys are very lucky if your boss is asking you to leave on time or maybe before time. Most of us haven't really got that pleasure ever. So Rishikesh, I want you ask next is that we normally, even today when we talk to our students, we say ki sketch karo, and so forth. And of course, I've seen your work, and there's a lot of sketching involved. And as landscape architects, yes, we do, no matter how many softwares are available with us, we do tend to ideate the initial things with our hands and sketching itself. So as they say that an idea begins with a sketch. So when you draw a particular sketch for your projects, is there any memory of a place or something that you see on the site that helps you anchor the client's requirement to your vision that you have?
Yeah, surely. See, I have maybe read many years back what is the definition of memory. And it was a very beautiful piece. I don't know, it's a paragraph or a small write-up which I read. I don't remember from where. But they are saying that what you collect and gather can be more of a graph, can be stored as a memory bank in different slots. Somewhere you may put it as graphics, somewhere you may put it as text. Now, as far as landscape architecture or my own understanding of architecture is concerned, I've developed an ability to put a lot of things in a graphical format. So if this entire energy has gone in registering, storing, so I will never forget anybody's face. I will never forget anybody's layout. I will never forget any photograph. I'll never forget anything which is in more graphical. But if I don't meet you for 3 months, I'll forget your name. So that's the weakness which I have developed. In a sense, I keep forgetting text, but I don't forget the graphics. Now coming back to this point is inspiration. Inspiration, you can take it, need not be only from a place. I really take inspiration from different movies. I really take inspiration from different series and on whatever I get on a screen. So either I have personally been to that particular place, or I have seen it from a book, or even from the movies. And movies is one of my best inspiration to take ideas, to get clues from.
Yeah. So yes, Shalaka, you
Never forget. He never forgets the layout, and that is killer for all the students. Whoever wants to pursue masters in landscape from LSR, be aware that he never forgets the layout.
Okay, so I think moving to my next question again is that today our overall field of architecture is quite diverse, and there's a lot of exposure for our students. So according to you, what are the key factors a student should look at when they are setting up or they're setting out of the cocoon of our college? Because a college is a shielded place; it's our own territory at one point of time. But what do you think, according to you, when a student is looking into this diverse field eventually, what are the key factors he should look at?
See, somehow, Swan and I personally believe the colleges are no more cocoons. It's all about the attitude of that student, whether he or she wants to get better exposed to the outside world, because there is so much information overly. If you tell me in my time, yes, those were cocoons, because there was no social media, no internet, and not even mobiles. It's all about you. Anyway, no, I'll not get into that zone now. Otherwise, I would have told you a fantastic story of me and my girlfriend. That's my wife. Imagine these boys and girls. You're sitting on a cord phone with a wire, and still you have to speak with each other for 1 hour. You have no mobile. You cannot go anywhere, and then you have to manage. Anyway, that's different.
We were looking at the pointers that a student should look at.
Yeah, I think one student should start looking as passion. And how I decided landscape architecture, I'll just tell you. Of course, I had limited choices at that point, but then I said, can I be a landscape architect for the next 25 years? Can I live with this, whatever profession you call, subject you call, you may call it anything, but can I live with it at least for 25 years? But that was a time then, which is what we are calling as half-life of your knowledge. The term called as half-life of your knowledge, that means your knowledge, what I've gathered in 1997 or 99 is useful to me after 20 years. But in today's time, as far as this there is a term called as VUCA, V-U-C-A, where students can go and search on internet, and what it means is VUCA. search for it. You will get a lot of information. So look for, the only pointer I can give is look for and say that whether I can stay with this subject for next at least 15 years. Otherwise, you will not be able to achieve anything. It will only for a very, very short period that I get interns saying that I'm going to try 1 month, 1 year in landscape, then 1 year in construction management, and then next year something else. Now, are they related? I'm not saying anything is bad, but then choose anything and stick with it. Only then you can achieve something. So look out for yourself. It's more of an introspection, but look out for what is your passion towards.
Yeah. So now when you just spoke about internships and interns, I would want to tell you, because few of our students right now are in that our recent graduate batch is just, they're not yet they're in the dilemma of exam dene ka nahi dene ka, and there are other students in the 4th and the current 5th year also. So when you mentioned about internships, what do you think that when a student is applying for internships, maybe in general architecture or in a specialized field, what are the key aspects that he or she should look at? And I want to also ask you that when a student, because yours is a very specialized kind of a stream in architecture, so when a student is applying in your firm, what are the aspects that you look for? Because there are many students who may not even understand the subject, and we do apply because we have an added pressure, at least in the Mumbai University scenario, where we have to complete our internships in 100 years and so on and so forth. So if a student is applying for internship, what should he be looking at and then apply? And the second part is that when a person comes to you for a job opportunity as an intern, how do you look at it? Do you train him or something like that?
First of all, the student should check whether the office or the organization where I'm going for an internship aligns with his or her own passion. Don't look at what they are going to offer. First decide what you are looking for. Only then go there with full hearted. From the organization side, what we do is we just make them work for 3 days or 4 days in office without any commitment, and even they have a right to reject us. What that program we have running, which is called as alignment program, and that's very, very crucial. I'll suggest that every intern who is willing to join any organization, and if that organization is offering you this kind of a alignment program, please go it. You will have every opportunity to reject that organization. It is not that the organization will reject you. Yes, that's an option. But again, you reserve your right to reject an organization. It is not that the organization is bad. I'm not turning everything into black and white, but then at least check your alignment, whether your ideas, your career path, what you have chosen, will working here be beneficial to them. Only then join that organization. Otherwise, don't do it. There is no gain by doing it. And I'll just tell you, currently all these 3 teammates, what you see on screen, have joined as interns. All 3 have joined as interns, and they can share their own experience, of course.
Yeah, so I just wanted to ask, because I want to ask Tanvi here, that because she's at a senior lead, design lead level, normally it comes to that particular designation in an office that we are supposed to take interviews or look at interns and things like that, because the boss is at one level, the senior associates partner at a different level, looking at a different setup altogether, and it falls upon the senior design lead or the senior architect. So Tanvi, what are the aspects that you look into an intern, apart from the inductions that you conduct, and then you would approach your boss saying, okay, we can try and look for this and this particular candidate as an asset to our firm. So what are the aspects that you look into while hiring a particular candidate?
Okay. So whenever an individual comes to our office, he or she have to go through one program. That is an alignment program, what sir told you, right? So in this program, there is a 5 days program. This 5 days program has a different activities, okay? So doing a sketch at 1:1 scale. So we have a big board in our conference. So he is made to just sketch there. After that, there is one more orientation program. So that orientation is not actually giving a big master plan to him and saying ki chalo abhi explain karo. It is not that. It is not like that. It is just 10 meter by 10 meter ka space we give them. We tell them ki yes, just design this and explain. So while explaining, we are very much aware कि बाबा ये क्या type का explanation हम लोग को दे रहा है, and yes, his oratory skills are okay or not okay. So we can get from those skills. So it is not actually a jury that we take in our office, and students also on another side should not. So there are too many students hearing. That's why I'm saying from their behalf also. कि when somebody goes to office, they should not think कि हम लोग ने अभी 5th year pass किया, so we are done with our JUI and we should get this job. But then when you go to a different organization, there are different methodologies which they practice. So you should go with a positive thinking that we can go with this induction program or alignment program for betterment of as an individual and to the office also. And in return, when you are passed with this alignment, you get into a office and you get a very broad spectrum of program, that is an induction program, where our office or as an individual, we tell them how what all you need to do as an intern or as a participant of a Newarch. Now you are one of the member as a Newarcher, then how you have to work, we tell them in the induction program. So it is no more a jury, and it is actually a working that starts in the induction program. But in the alignment program, definitely we also know to we also get to know how student is, and student in return also vice versa. He is very much in a position to accept or reject the organization as Sir told. So it is a simple topic.
So if I have to look it in the similar line but from a different perspective, maybe when a student is applying even in a general architectural office as well, so he and she can try and look at the initial days as his own induction, maybe because a few offices may not be conducting this, or they may not be putting that kind of an effort also, and then decide if that particular stream is good for them or not. So it's like the student also, in a way, you give a choice to the student as well to reject the office, is what I can say in one line. Yeah. Yes, Hrishikesh. Yeah.
If any office is not offering them an alignment program, students should insist that I'll work for you, bale free, for 4 days, get acquainted with that office, and if you like it, only then continue it, otherwise reject that office. This is my suggestion to all new students or pass out students. You can definitely demand for working for free for 3 days. It's no harm. It's not about money. It's not about that. But then it's alignment is very crucial. We have about almost of my total team, I think 80% of the people, Newarch is their first job. It's only then you can work. Otherwise, you cannot work.
So initially, when we were talking about the previous question, and then you mentioned about students are confused in terms of do they want to do landscape or construction management or what exactly other fields, and also there is an added pressure about on a day-to-day basis where the technologies are coming up in new. There are some other advancements which are happening in the allied field. So how do a student who is stepping out right now of the college look at these changes as an opportunity? Like the way we were discussing the other day, the concept of maybe industry 4.0, which will come eventually. So if a certain point comes in future, and then because we are groomed in a certain way to deal with our projects or groom ourselves to be a professional, but maybe when there's a development happening in our allied fields, development happening in terms of technology and things like that, or maybe self-driven cars, for example. So these aspects can be daunting at a later stage. So should a student look at these things during their academics and think about the opportunities, or how would you look at it?
So it's for me or any other teammate?
For you. Yeah.
First, okay. See, this getting aligned with the technology or working together with the technology or a changing times, it is nothing only at the student's age or student's phase, I'll call it as. It's now lifelong. You have to change continuously as your time is changing. And again, I'll just repeat that VUCA. The time and as far as your surrounding or setting is constantly changing. As an organization, this Saturday, we broke our system 6th time. We have just deleted this organization completely and restarted it. So we call it as a reboot process. This is the 6th time in 21 years I have done it. Why I have to do it? It's not, we have to be getting aligned with how the market is. There is a market. When I use a word, it's a very broad terminology. I'll not get into too much of market because I think my audience may not be, at that understanding. But then, and accept this as you have to keep aligning with these technologies. One, parallel to that, I will say, do not choose a career which is technology dependent. Use your technology as a tool and don't make it a career. I'll give you an example. In 1997, when I passed out, there was latest introduced as 3D Max. And 3D Max or 3D Studio, 3D Max. It was recently introduced and launched and released, and everybody who knew that one can work on a 3D Max was paid the best. It so happened that people got themselves so much into it that later on the technology is outdated, and I'll say it is not rejected, but it's outdated. Now there are so many new tools. The people who have just built a career around 3D Max have just become, what should I call it, as just as people with that basic skill. No, as an architect, you have to keep expanding. If you have chosen graphics and the renderings and that animation as your career, by 21st year, you should be in augmented reality. I understand that you might have started with 3D Max, but today you should be in augmented reality or a virtual reality. If you are able to do that transition, only then get along with technology. Otherwise, as a human being, emotion, empathy, and logic, you develop these three aspects very, because these are the three things. Even though Industry 4.0 will come, it will not be taken away from the humans. Logic, to a certain extent, it is already been taken up. Data gathering is gone. Knowledge is any which way is gone. Knowledge has no more become a proprietary with an individual. But develop in such a way, which I was earlier mentioning, is don't become overly technology dependent. Use technology as your tool. So I think that is what your question hopefully was.
So Stelaka, we're not able to hear you.
Yeah. I would just add over here that how the technology should be the tool and not something like because what is happening nowadays is technology is no more a choice, but it is a compulsion. Now, because of this pandemic situations, if you look at people around you, even my grandmom, who is of age 84 plus, she is very in a sense she can very well connect with me through Zoom or say Google Meet. So not just you, but even your previous generations are kind of getting acquainted with the technologies, and they are kind of adapting it very fast. So instead of taking in a sense that as a choice, it kind of is a compulsion which you cannot say no to. And that is why as rightly Hrishikesh sir mentioned, that it should be considered as tool and not as a profession.
Okay, so
And we would
for
try
Warm,
to specialize into something which cannot be overpowered by technology per se.
okay, so when you were saying about the word called as specialization, or initially Rishikesh mentioned about 3D Max in 1987, and yes, even I have most of us as practicing architects at one point of time have seen how this trajectory goes. So now I want to ask you a question that today we have almost 28 plus architecture colleges in Bombay, and more than 200 to 300 colleges all over the country. So from this explanation of yours, I come to a sense that as a student, the student should try and create a niche for himself, if I can understand it correctly. So, so how should an aspiring architect or a student look at it about creating this particular niche? Because yes, now landscape is in a way your niche carved out right now, but in a generic term, how should we look at it?
I think
Because there's a lot of
Siley
bombardment
would be
about,
able to
yeah.
take this question because if you look at her designation in the organization, even though she is architect, she is landscape architect. What she is doing is not what all of us are doing. So, and how it is getting, in this is how all of us and organization at large is getting benefited due to her skill set. So
Okay.
yeah, Siley, over to you. You can add into this, I suppose.
Yeah, thank you, Shalaka. So, about the niche. So I always, previously mentioned that it was always about an art student liking the softer parameters. So even one thing, although I was not sure about my masters, in my third year itself, I was pretty sure that I want to do a career in architecture journalism, and and then I tried to align everything along with it. So landscape fortunately aligned with it, and all the more Newarch and Sir also supported me in the entire thing where I joined. So after my masters, not after, during the masters, I joined Newarch, and then I thought ki, okay, instead of totally chucking out ki nahi, I don't want to design, I don't like to design, why not see if I have missed out on understanding design. So I tried working on the design projects for a while, but then I was all the more sure that this is not something that I want to do. I want to go into architecture journalism, and the more I went into, and then I was fortunate that to get an opportunity, and then the more I went to it, I realized that within architecture journalism there is not only writing, there is photography, there is videography, there is project profiling, then there's so much to learn, there is research to it, and it is not just one thing that defines your niche. There are so many other aspects that are yet to be explored. And like Swanand rightly mentioned, landscape architecture is a niche, but within that niche there is a tinier niche, which is this. And it is more than finding that niche, it is about understanding the requirement of the complete market, and then that also responds to the idea of collaborations. Like nothing can be done in isolation. Had I been aspiring to become an architecture journalist, and then there was nobody or no organization or no uh, people to align with it, in isolation I would have been completely unsuccessful. So more than finding the niche, it is about having collaborations. It is about finding what aligns to your field. So I think that is really important. And to add to that, I would like to introduce, like we will talk about it later as well, but then in the video, if we have mentioned, there is ink. So ink is our publication cell, and in through that we do all these publication work where we do project profiles, we do websites, we do social media marketing, and all of that. So yeah, that is something that I believe in. That is, having a niche and having right collaborations is something that really helps after having so many people as competitors and so many people in the market already.
So I think I must congratulate you on that aspect. That yes, as a colleague of mine, as a friend of mine, I have always known that you joined these aspects because you wanted to pursue journalism in per se, and I'm happy that New Arch has given you that opportunity. So what I want to ask you next is, like, as you said that you found out a niche within this profession of landscape architecture and divert yourself into journalism per se, what are the other fields, allied fields, where if a student has done a specialization in landscape specifically, what are the other aspects where he or she can get absorbed, or the other streams related to it?
I do not have a direct answer to this, but then how I could approach to this is that landscape is one of the field which has the broadest spectrum of how a person can be absorbed. So if you find that you like a particular thing, for example, you have a liking for say plants, and then you decide ki, okay, what more with plants? Okay, horticulture. What more with horticulture? I can see how plants respond. Okay, how, what more? So there is always what next, there is always what more, and the world is full of having these opportunities. It is just that you see something, you get excited by that thing, you feel passionate towards that thing, and then that thing very much align for you. And I think the direct answer to this, Sir or Tanvi, would be the perfect person.
Yeah, I would want Rishikesh to give his thoughts on this point.
Why can't we think broadly? See, I don't want to give them restriction, but then why don't an architect later on learns law and combines architecture and law? Why not he gets into product design? Why not he gets into recently I figured out that there is a great opportunity in lighting design. And what I mean by lighting design is not the way we see lighting design as per se, but then designing the or doing a research in the quality and the intensity of the light itself. Now there is a great demand, and architects who know the end use of that product somebody is designing, they are better equipped. Architects are the best salespeople. They can really look out for opportunities in field of sales and marketing. Uh, I said product design. Uh, I have actually ventured after doing my architecture and masters into software design. I feel I was able to do software for myself, and now we are doing and designing softwares for other people. Recently, I have realized that health and landscape architecture can be combined together. So we are now going to venture and figure out what are the opportunities for us if I go in the sector or health sector. So I'm saying for every student, and they are far, far more energetic than what I am. I think they should use that energy very effectively to at least, they should not restrict themselves as a thought. Today, there is no restriction in terms of ये नहीं हो सकता, वो नहीं हो सकता, ये कैसे होगा. You might be the innovator, you might be the completely new person who has invented that kind of a niche or for yourself, and then just grow in that. So I think that's what I wanted to say
Yeah,
for the answer.
I mean that's I think that's a brilliant thought, because as I said initially, also till the first couple of years a student comes into college, is trying to adjust himself and identify, and somewhere from third year or maybe fourth year onwards, a thought start coming in is eventually I'm being a professional. And profession doesn't really mean architecture per se, or doing a specialization in masters in some any other subject. We can also, students can also decipher that where their passion lies. If somebody is into filmmaking, they can go with it, and so on and so forth. So now when you mentioned about the topic of lighting, the first thing came to my mind was like a project specific topic, and or other project specific question. And we normally talk in terms of energy in architecture and energy sensitive design and so on and so forth. So is or energy efficient design per se. So what is your take on it? I think I would put this question to Tanvi and Chalaka, that when you are approaching your clients as well, or the clients approach you in a typical office setup, is there anything, can we allot this topic or this name called energy efficient design to landscape as well in some or the other way? Tanvi and Chalaka, your view on that?
Yes. Okay. So I can start, or rather I'll start want to answer this question. For example, everybody must have heard about IGBC. Okay. So whenever we are different kind of projects in landscape, we come across different trends in landscape architecture. So one of the trends is also the IGBC norm, or to make the energy efficient building. Okay. So when we some IGBC norms, we came across certain pointers, or they give certain pointers to different types of building, right? So if we read it, or if we start if we start actually practicing this, we can say कि marks given to certain areas. For example, hardscape, अगर पूरे project में अगर hardscape 60% है, so that project is given 7 marks out of 10. Softscape is more than 80%, then the project is given 95 marks. So these are some marks, or these are some pointers given by the IGBC norm. So for example, we have treated these marks into our projects also. So we have examined our different various projects through these IGBC norms, where we have rated our own project in-house. Like we have done this exercise in-house, where we started giving marks to our project. Yes, this can be 60% more effective, where we have gone down very drastic in the terms of hardscape, but then we have increased the softscape. So these are some percentages where we have worked this, but we have worked it internally. So we haven't shown this to while marketing. Definitely we have used certain terminologies while showing to our client or all these things, but exercise was done internally for IGBC norms. And one more thing I want to highlight is when we were we also give a thought upon how the runoff coefficient, how we are going to calculate this runoff coefficient when we are talking more about the master level planning. Then secondly, we analyzed our project in terms of sun path diagram, for example, because shadow analysis becomes one of the important aspect here. Because the pattern what we see on the floor or on the landscape, on the open spaces, give us the opportunity to design a landscape or a design or a spatial planning in different terms, what we can actually do without without having an analysis of shadow pattern. So these are how we are looking at it to make our design as more energy efficient and all those in those terms.
Okay, so now Shalaka, I want to extend the question to you. Is that now Tanvi spoke about the IGBC norms which are there, and we also tackle them in our academics at one point of time. But let's presume there are no norms as such to be followed, and you guys have worked in overall across the country. You have worked. So looking at different climates, is there a topic about energy efficiency or in terms of efficient landscape design that has come across or you guys have executed?
See, when we are talking about efficient design, it is not just about the energy. There are n number of different factors which are getting involved into the space which we are designing into. In the sense, since we are talking about open space design, and it is not restricted with any kind of a walls to it, you cannot actually define the user who is going to use your space which you're actually going to design it. So being sensitive about all of those things as well becomes very crucial. For example, if I am designing particular space, uh, it is for say kids, but it is also for the butterflies which would be attracted to the plantation which I am proposing. There can be squirrels which are running around it. There can be few birds which get attracted towards it. So sensitivity towards all of them and sharing our space or sharing our, yeah, I would say space with all of even those communities is also very crucial when we are talking about design. So it is not just sensitivity about the energy or say climate. It is sensitivity about each and every aspect of it.
So I think with this topic of sensitivity that you have put up right now, an environmental ecological understanding could help probably a long-term progression of their project. So and a landscape in terms, when you're touching upon environment and the climate and all of these aspects about flora and fauna and attracting them and so on and so forth, a point of temporality does come into picture, right? So how do a student look at an entire life of his design? Of course, they're designing conceptually on a piece of paper, but that aspect of how do you elaborate the topic of life of a design project maybe, and look at the aspect of temporality overall?
See, it's a very complex question, Swanan, maybe for the current audience to explain, because in case of landscape architecture, it so happens that it is we used to tease our colleagues in SPA saying that particularly urban planners or urban designers or architects, fellow architects, that okay, you deal with 3 dimensions and we deal with 4 dimensions, because the fourth one is a time. Because as a landscape architect, I always have to consider time which is imbibed in landscape architecture in such a way that whenever the execution is over, my project starts. That means whenever my execution of plantation is over, then the tree would start growing and then the full bloom. Because when we are envisaging a project, we are assuming that it's a full grown tree. Example, I'm giving very smallest possible example. But then in reality, what happens is it starts growing at 4 feet, 5 feet, 10 feet, whatever that height. Eventually it will grow. And after maybe 5 years or 10 years, we get a complete full shaded or area what was anticipated during the design. To capture this, we are doing now. I don't know whether I should after this interview, this EDU team is going to kill me because I have revealed this. But then I'll just reveal the part of it. My EDU team is doing a research on something called as design signature. Now it's a unique concept how we can map the design. So what was every individual has a unique signature, and you must be having a unique signature which is completely different than mine and Shalaka. So is there a possibility that the design will have its own signature? One. And secondly, whatever was its original signature on the day when we thought as a concept, is it continuing all the way throughout, means once that project is over? So I can reveal at this point only this. Maybe in couple of months we'll be able to publish this. But then it captures this particular question, that how design is temporal.
So the next, what I want to ask you is that when from a student's perspective, I look at, or because even we take landscape as an allied design subject in the third year, and people also have other subjects related to the built environment, about urban design and other things, and in environmental sciences we deal in those aspects as well. So as a student right now, and I think from a student's perspective, it becomes very difficult to decipher what can we call as landscape design, what we call as urban design or environmental design for that particular matter. And there is this thin, and as a from a professional background, if I look at it, there's a thin line that exists. So according to you, does a line exist? And if yes, how can we carve out a path? And I hope that by this statement, a student, if he's confused into what stream to go, because the other day a student was talking about he would want to pursue a master's in urban design, but then he went into a trajectory of landscape or maybe an environmental planning and other aspects. So does that line exist in these couple of streams, and what's your take on it?
As one of the points Saili was mentioning, that we have to all understand that we all professionals who are going to go out should coexist. There is an urban designer who has learned many topics as far as his subject is concerned. I am a landscape architect. Imagine we both are on a given project. Now I'm talking purely not theoretical, a very, very practical scenario on any given project. We both are trying to put our role and our scope into a given project. There will be a lot of overlaps in terms of ideas, in terms of design scope, in terms of detailing. Yes. So one is, it's too difficult to say that there is a line, or rather there is definitely an overlap. He or she as an urban designer will definitely have some comments and opinion as far as the landscape is concerned, and vice versa. But jokingly, I have always told my clients, as far as my project is concerned, I say, whenever you are standing on your project, and if you are able to see the sky, that means you are in my scope area. So generally, I restrict myself that whatever is open to sky as my restricted area, and the other areas I generally do not get into only as a professional barrier. Imagine you are lying on a operation table, and then there is a fight between surgeon and the anesthetist, and who's more specialized in. There is overlap. Both are MDs. Now, what will happen to you? So, as a professional, we have to get into that kind of professionalism rather than getting whether landscape overlaps into urban design. Yes, it will. But then you have to kind of put restrictions to yourself. As an organization, we have very clearly decided we will not get into interior design, we will not get into architecture design, we will not get into elevation design, just because we do not want to increase the pie of the total market share. Rather than that, how can we help each other and increase the size of the pie? I don't know. This is too commercial, in a sense, for a student level. But then I'll stop myself about that overlap. Otherwise, it's on a different.
So this just brings me to a different point, and I think we had discussed this particular point a long back. I mean, probably 9-10 years ago. That a talk between you and me, and this particular explanation that you gave right now brings me to a point of collaboration, because how I can put it myself is that everybody in student realm hates working with each other, and collaboration is like a big situation. I don't want to collaborate with this person, group mein kaam nahi hai, and all of those things. But I think from your explanation, I can simplify it like, yes, it's a collaborative effort between all these different fields, whether it be landscape or architecture or interiors. And again, as we are talking about niche, each and every single person has maybe an expertise into it, but somebody else may have created a niche into it. And it's often good to learn from them and look out how we can get our own niche as well. So I think that is my takeaway from this. Yeah.
This is particularly at the student age.
Yeah.
Student age. Whenever you pass out as a MR student or a BR student, you feel like I am the supreme. I know everything, and I'm a professional now, because till the point I was a student, now I've suddenly become a professional. But then I have to remind, and even I got reminded. I'm not telling that. I also got reminded very harshly, very effectively, that you are not the single professional in this area. There are already multiple people with multiple talents, multiple experiences already there. Learn to collaborate. It's not possible that for example, we teach or we have aspirations to become Corbusier. I'm not saying Corbusier is bad, but the era of Corbusier is over. You're not going to get a single project of a city planning wherein one architect is named as the supreme king, and you are going to get it. And if you're waiting for it, you will be dinosaur before me anyway. But then I'm just saying, don't get into it. Currently, our 6th edition of Newarch, what is going to do? Siley is going to write the story of the project. Somebody else is going to do the scripting of the project, and third person might be doing the execution or the detailing of the project. How? Because Siley gets specialized into story writing of the project. Otherwise, what happens is, we as an architects in practical world, what happens is they stretch themselves so wide, and then they become very thin. And then the only thing where we reach is the frustration. I'm telling you, the architects will have to learn this art of collaboration. मैं group work नहीं कर सकता? Why? What is so special about you? I'm sorry, I might become at some point more aggressive in this point, but then why? In the sense, you need to learn how to work together. There are many ways. There are many methods you can develop. We are developing these kind of methods. We believe in that kind of a working, and only then you get happy. I have always I think I mentioned to you, not in this context, but I just suddenly, I don't know why, I remember that triangle. That triangle is having money, ethic, and happiness. Whenever you're working, the working triangle has three corners: money, ethics, and happiness. The only point is you can choose only two. You will not get the third one. And that's life. Forget college. If you are out of college, come to the real world. The earlier you accept that there are problems in life, easier it will be to solve them. नहीं तो ये मेरे साथ ही क्यों होता है, हमारे इसमें ही होता है, हमारा सीनियर ऐसा है, मेरा कलीग ऐसा करता है, मेरे टीचर को कुछ अकल नहीं था. All that stuff. Eventually, you will realize when you become a teacher and you are trying your heart out to tell somebody, and that bugger is not. I'm sorry, I'll go into this thing, but then you get into that. So I'm very strongly saying, and again I'm repeating, I have gone through all these phases. It's not that मैं कोई पैदा नहीं हुआ था ये सब लेके, have learned it very hard way. I might have wasted about 7 years of my life after completing MR just to understand कि मैं क्या कर रहा हूँ. And then I started telling my students saying कि बाबा ये ऐसा मत करो, तुम्हारे 6-7 साल वेस्ट होंगे, मेरे गए. इसके लिए बोल रहा हूँ, बाकी तो तुम्हारी जिंदगी है, तुमको जो sorry. Done.
So I can relate to it because of course as you also are a teacher, you are a faculty as well. So somewhere we tend to brush our professional stream and our faculty academic field as well. So right now, while Saili also mentioned her role in the organization about a design writer, and you right now mentioned about certain aspects about specializations within your firm as well. And of course, we've seen in the slideshow the clip as well that you have certain unique projects that you developed under Newarch. And fortunately, I got an opportunity to be a part of your Saturday Unlearn sessions. So could you just give a quick brief about what those specialized projects are, so that it just emphasizes onto our students that even if every office may not have the same process, maybe or similar projects, they can devise their own ways of carving out their niche. So I think you have told me about your Newarch Inc. Saturday Unlearns and the EDU session. So and the new adopted student that you've started. So if you can just give a brief idea about what these different projects are.
See, these are different cells as an organization. As a organization, what we are running, and I'll not get into that cell. There is something called as Inc. cell, EDU cell, and an Unlearn cell. They are organizing and they are made for a particular purpose. Now, if I have to tell you commercially, today they are all my cost centers. Eventually, as the tree will grow and the branch grows, eventually that one cell might become a profit center. Now, I know these cost center and profit center terminologies are not maybe suitable at that short why we got into this adopt the student phenomenon, and that's running under EDU cell, which is organizing it. After completing 5 years, the student comes to me as a fresher. Okay, I call him, tu to fresher hai, tere ko kuch nahi aata, you do not have that skill, so I'll not pay you. Okay. So then that poor guy works with me for 2 years, and then suddenly he realizes that my all peers and all my friends are doing masters. I have to also do masters. Nothing wrong with a master. So then he goes for a masters after 2 years, completes his 2 years of masters or 3 years of master, whatever that master would be. And by God's grace, agar wo wapis aaya na, again I tell him, you are still a fresher. Why? Because you are just passed out. Again I tell him the story, and this is not with me. This is what is happening with many of the students outside this my organization, and even everywhere. I don't know if everybody shares. Then the student comes with a problem, and the student mindset, which even I had, again I'm repeating, I also had. I brag about my certificate. I have a BR certificate or I have a MR certificate. I brag it, and the person in front of you is not judging you by your certificate, but judging you by your skill. What kind of skill you have. If you have not acquired any great skill, you are useless to that organization. One has to accept that fact. So what we are trying to do here is, we are trying to get students right from their internship. Ask them to continue till I think your college starts in May. So they generally extend even beyond 100 days, because 100 days is something which is mandatory. In that period, we are trying to do the research work for the office through them, which helps them in their next thesis, where they have to do a research. So it's a win-win situation. We get some research done through them. They understand the analytical process and the research process, which will be helpful for them while they will go for a thesis. Once they go back to the college, we are telling them that work at least 15 hours a week for us. We will pay you for that. This all is a paid internship. I'm not saying you work for free. Of course, it might have a nominal money, but then full-time internship, and then continue for complete 1 year. Whenever your thesis is, whenever you're doing it, you might get an indirect help from my people and the teammates who you have built a network with in your thesis itself. So you have developed a rapport with an organization. You have worked here for 1.5 years. Now tell me the value of you for me after you complete your BArch. There is a fresher coming in my organization who's a fresh BArch, and this guy who has worked almost for 1.5 years with me, who you will evaluate better? Obviously, this guy. Now, after that, he chooses to work for 2 years. So again, his value goes up. After that, he chooses to go for a master's, comes back. And because he has that kind of a rapport, it becomes easier for that person to get adjusted, and then we don't call him as a fresher. So recently we started this. This is the second batch. Unfortunately, that young boy is not able to join because of his own thesis lecture. He was supposed to join today. So this is something what we are calling, and then why we are doing this. I'm going to, if this program is suitable, we did with 2 kids, rather 2 plus 2 plus 1, 5 kids. We have done this, not in a full form the way I have explained. It was experimental. If this format works, then I'm going to suggest my fellow architects saying that please adopt this. Why there has to be so much of a gap between education and the industry? Why can't the education is industry oriented, and why industry is not telling educationists that this is what we want? If I am running an organization, I should tell you as a specialist in education, I don't know how to educate kids. But at least if I'm running an organization, I will come and tell you, Swanand, these are the skill sets what are needed in practice. Please train your students so that there is no gap. At this point, I feel these two, what should I call it as industries? Yeah, they are not looking at each other. You don't know what we need.
Yeah.
So that's where
I think I just want
that gap.
I want to pick up one word that you just said right now about a gap. And when we were discussing about general gaps that students feel, and because even you are a faculty, we are as an institution, we tend to tell as much as we can to prepare them for the future that they might see. But this one gap that we were talking about, okay, before I ask this question to you, I just have a small instruction for our or a suggestion for our participants. That this is probably a second, almost we are ending this particular session by a couple of questions from my end. So you can start pulling up your questions in our chat box. So so coming back to the point about the gap that we were talking about, many of our students feel communication is the problem, that either somebody can sketch, either somebody can talk, somebody just can talk and do nothing else, and some people are talking about and some people are very squeamish about language per se as well. So I want to know your take on that language and communication as one aspect.
Particularly a language, let's take it as. This is again, I'm very thankful to LS Raheja. Very thankful, and particularly thanks to my principal at that point. I completed my master's in '99. I came back from Delhi and I approached my principal suggesting that, sir, I have done my master's, so can I get an opportunity to become a visiting faculty? And he immediately said yes. And I said, sir, there is a problem. He said, what? So he said, I asked him, I told him that, sir, my problem is I'm from, my education is from a vernacular background. So I cannot speak English. So he paused for maybe half a second, and then he has a peculiar style. I can mock him to a certain extent. So he just rocking in chair in college and said, but the conversation was in Marathi. If you want that, it will get a better flavor. Otherwise, I'll translate that in English.
No, you continue. Please continue.
Yeah. So he was rocking like this and said, to the landscape, shikwayacha ka English. I said, thank you, sir. I got your point, and I'm getting out of it. It's not the language. It's something which you may have. See, if you have a good language, good for you. Develop it. It's a skill to possess. But if you currently do not have, but at least has a knowledge about that subject, architecture, you can even communicate. If you don't know how to sketch, learn it. If you don't know how to speak, learn it. There are so many opportunities by which, but you cannot say that I cannot communicate. Then there is a problem that I cannot communicate. And by the way, the research says you communicate by language only 10%. 10 or whatever number, don't hold me on that number. 10%, rest all is your body language. Do you know that? So many a times why can't we do a separate course for communication skills? Who stops you from doing it? If you have realized that this is your weakness, why can't I just join some communication skill? I did public speaking course in this lockdown, and it's possible. It's just a will you need to have. You just need to have that fire in you. I don't know.
So I think there are two things I can from this answer of yours, I can take up two different pointers here. Is that as you mentioned right now that you did your own a small course right now in this lockdown also. So I'll point out one part that yes, that
I'm doing the sixth course in this lockdown, sixth online course, and only one is paid. Again, student feels that okay, if I have to get knowledge, I mean I have to pay a lot of money. I just paid one course, 5 or I'm doing, sixth I'm doing. Rest of it's free, and topics like critical thinking and analysis, site planning, which was done in MIT. And again, this era is so fortunate that I did the course in MIT. I've never ever thought of going to MIT because of money, and there might be many, but I still get connected with MIT today. So it's just need to fire it.
So maybe there is one takeaway I think from here is that of course our students and ourselves also need to relook into some aspects and then find out how we can improvise ourselves. And of course there's no age to learn, as what I can get from your talk. And I must thank Dalvi sir that because of him we got a really good faculty for LSR masters and in general also. So now I'm just shooting a last question to all four of you, and the question, I mean, that might be too personal, that you were students, now you're professionals and working in the outside world. And so what is what is that one thing, either a weakness or the strength, or not like both, a weakness or a strength that you have seen in others but that you do not have? So maybe I think I introduced Hrishikesh and then Chalaka. So I want to start with Saili now and then end up at Hrishikesh. So what would be their one particular weakness or the strength that is there in others that you do not have?
I would like to talk about strength, because there are n number of strengths that people have which I do not. And the main thing that I always wish I knew was to sketch properly. And I am like, oh my god, like Sir Tanvi
Shalaka. You are a
Shalaka.
story writer, not the sketcher.
No, but I always feel like communication we spoke of, and I really feel I could sketch properly and communicate through that way in someday. Yeah, that's it.
Tanvi, what about you?
Okay. I can explain. So many interns are coming in our office, or many juniors are there. Okay, so I can explain n number of time. If he's not getting what exactly it is, so I'm ready sitting beside them and teaching them. Actually, I can say teaching them, or I'm explaining them n number of times till they get it. कि बाबा हाँ काय करायचं exactly असं. So yes, I can explain number of times.
He's asking you weakness, madam. Don't hide.
No, he's asking me my strength.
Oh, he asked you your weakness, which other people
This
have.
question was pertaining to you only because I know that you will talk about strength only.
Okay. Because I really need to think then. काय माहिती मला आता.
Okay.
Her weakness is she cannot
No
lie.
problem.
Oh.
She attempts multiple times to lie, and then we catch her like anything. So we say, don't, you cannot do that in front of client. He will immediately hold you for that.
Shalaka, what would you answer for this particular question? I hope we haven't got disconnected with her.
So Anand,
Shalaka.
Shalaka's connection has weakened. So she
Okay,
has
no
left. I
problem.
think she's rejoined.
Yeah, no, Hrishikesh, and now it's all to you now. This is the last question
No,
for
I
you.
think
What is that?
I just revealed my weakness, and that's the reason. Once I realized that this, and I knew that that was my weakness, and that's the reason I opted to join this public speaking 6 weeks of public speaking class, and which is online, and I have a certificate for it.
Well, I think
So public speaking, yes, was a weakness.
yeah. I think there is one that was your weakness you showed, but I think one strength that when I know you a little bit in a different perspective for the past few years now, I can say that one strength from you is that you really have a lot of patience. I mean, listening to me talk also is a huge patience that
ये दिख ही रहा है ना सब, ये
so was my last question for you guys. So I'll just go to back to our audience. If you guys have any questions, do share with us. No problem. We still have a couple of minutes till we before we end up our session. And I hope that the idea of root to root, which was like having a generalized dialogue wherein there is some takeaway for our student from here, because those questions either never come up or they come up at a very later stage, and we deliberately did not try to look into what landscape architecture is all about, because being LSR, having a master's program, and myself being a landscape faculty, we deal in these aspects a lot with our students. So we just hope that some other anxieties which our students have at times could gather. I think Shalaka got logged out, but I had a different question for her. Maybe if she comes along, I'll ask, or otherwise I'll ask at my own time. So any questions from our audience?
your audience is speechless, huh? They are going to ask you later, साला इसको कहाँ से पकड़ के लेके आया था?
Swanand,
Yes, Tanvi.
there is one question for Hrishikesh sir. Sir,
मेरे को कहाँ दिखाई दिया? मेरे को नहीं दिखता है.
sir in chat box. Sir in chat box.
अरे इतना तो मेरे को भी मालूम है chat box किधर है. The last message I see
Yeah,
is
in chat. No. In the chat box, Mrudula ma'am has asked about the mentorship program that was there, and I think Hrishikesh spoke about it when he explained the adopter student part of it. Yeah.
I just saw it now, so
Okay.
sorry.
Okay, so no problem. Maybe Tanvi or Sahil, you can give my
Mitesh भी छोड़ के
question
चला गया.
to.
Mitesh is also my senior associate. वो भी चला गया. उसको देखता हूँ बाद में मैं.
Okay, we have a question from a student, Dalika. Yeah.
Tanvi को है ना ये question?
In general, to any one of you. So Dalika is one of our third year students. She's asking, sir, would you suggest a master's degree that would be something related to architecture or something that adds onto our BI degree?
Something related. No, I've honestly not understood the question, Swanand. What she's trying to ask.
So I think what she's saying is that maybe this question is related to the allied field, wherein if I know that Dalika is a good avid reader and she writes also very well. So maybe I can direct the question in a way that it's not necessary. Let's say if I'm an BR student, I have to take a master's related to architecture only. It can be any allied field that helps BR in certain way or helps our own passion in some particular point of time. I like to phrase it in this particular manner. Otherwise, there is always a pressure.
See, unfortunately, this degree masters as a getting a certificate, yes, till the point the HR policies do not change. There will be this kind of a constant pressure of acquiring certificate. Many a times we are not acquiring skill set, which ideally this HR. But again, Swanan, this is like a too wide answer. Saili or Tanvi, you can help me in this.
Swanan,
How can I say that?
is she trying to ask if MArch is the only way after BArch?
Probably you can interpret it likewise, Saili.
So if I interpret it that way, whatever skill you are interested in developing, for example, coming back to my example, I wanted to do architecture journalism. So I enrolled myself, which I did not complete, unfortunately, in a course that was MA Sociology, which was distance learning. So it was a distance learning thing for which I enrolled, and then it was a MA. It was not an MArch, and at that time I had not planned to do MArch. So it is not necessary that you have to do MArch after BArch. There are 100. There is MDes, then there is MArch, and lots of other things which are supporting the architect's degree and which the skill set you want to develop on. I don't know if I've answered her.
Hi, sir. Can I just rephrase my question again for a better answer?
Yeah,
Yeah, good evening, sir. So what I meant was, so if I get a degree in architecture, like be a bachelor's in architecture, and if I try to pursue my master's in something like IT or something in technology, would that help me be at a better position in the field when I actually get out for my when I go out for my job interviews or something? Like, would that add on to my PhD degree?
100%. If you do that, first I'll offer you a job.
Like, so I wouldn't want to.
Plus IT.
Okay,
no, I have an IT company. I'm running a software company wherein we are taking the whole idea of design concepts and design thinking into designing a software, and then there is the future. I'm doing it. I started this 7 years back. So now you develop one step ahead.
Yes, sir, because I was thinking that instead of doing an MArch, it would rather be fruitful to have something which adds on to your architecture degree, like something which is complementary and gives you a better scope into the field ahead. So that was my idea, and that was my question, if I should be doing that.
Surely you can.
All right, thank you, sir.
So there's another question for you from Anuj here. So I'll just read out the question for you. So he's saying, thank you, respected sir, and all the respected speaker to give us an insights in your practice. It is encouraging to see your firm doing beyond the practice and looking ahead into nurturing an individual. Do you think the architecture governing body needs to engage a similar pattern to develop the profession, especially seeing the sorry state of architects are losing their identity? So it's in a way.
Anuj,
I know you have.
Yeah, I know. Currently, there is Anuj. I don't see Anuj here. Is Anuj there?
Yeah, he's there. Yeah.
Okay. But then I think the whole purpose of you have a very valid point. I don't deny that. There is a lot to be done, and we are really looking for the people who are. Yeah, hi. ऐसा वो corner नहीं करने का यार Anuj. Maybe questions. I can see Anuj. No, you have a very, very valid question, and I'm definitely looking for, and I was not part of any of these governing bodies as particularly say landscape, there is ISOLA. So we are attempting multiple ideas wherein, see these governing bodies, what is the purpose of these governing bodies? The governing bodies are supposed to take care of their members and the profession. Now, when I say that they are going to take care of their members, why can't my governing body itself promotes my members? We have taken up certain events and certain activities wherein the governing body is promoting their members in terms of somehow our plans got dislodged because of this corona, but then we are doing special video shoots for our fellow members. So there is a lot of role what these governing bodies should be doing it. But yes, your question is very valid, but I think it needs a lot of dialogue, it needs a lot of participation by different members into it, which should have a very core vision statement, and only then this can happen. But I think for the sake of this current audience, I'll just not move ahead, move further on answering this. We can definitely have a discussion about it maybe later. Yeah. ये स्वानंद तू मॉडरेटर है यार, ऐसे ये भी सवाल मत देखना, थोड़ा सिंपल सिंपल पूछो ना। तेरा कॉलेज कैसे था, तेरे को एलएसआर कैसे लगा?
No, we all know, because see, when you talk about the other parts also, I think we got the clue that you have never stopped loving your college. That is for sure, because it somewhere how can I put it? It somewhere not just guided you professionally but personally also. You have got a lot of happiness out of it. That's for sure. Your college memories in college, that I can say.
Sure. Generally as an organization, you will not believe what happens. And this is again for the people who are getting into this profession. Don't be so serious. Don't take yourself so seriously. I also don't take, nobody takes me seriously in my own organization. The whole idea, what I'm trying to say is, the more you become serious, the more chances that you will commit more mistakes. Every mistake you do is out of stress. My office at some point at a time, they are at the peak of submission at 5:30 or 6 o'clock in the evening. Then I might just go in their group, and then I start making some absolute stress level. And then I just say, okay, what will happen? My client will throw me out, right? It's not the end of the world. We'll look for another client. Why you're worried? Because unless you don't develop that kind of cultures in your organization, how the organization and how the work will be enjoying. You have to make enjoying. And I when I started my profession, I was originally the so-called director of the organization. Then I became founder and partner when we turned from ownership company to LLP. You know what is my designation right now? My current designation is Chief Cultural Officer. I just take care of the culture of the office. I don't do anything else. I don't design, I don't do concepts, I do nothing. My only job is to take care of the culture. Why? Because I have very much clear ambition that somebody has to come up and give priority to meritocracy. It's not about my office. मैं होशियार, मैं शाना, मेरा डिजाइन चलेगा, ये सब जूनियर है, तुम मेरे नीचे काम करो. You know, let's come out of that. That era is gone. Corbusier is dead in his coffin. Good for him. He's good as an architect, but the way we used to work is gone. Anyway, I am just out of excitement. I've told you so many things. I'm sorry.
No, but I think certain points are valid, because yes, after it takes a time and a certain amount of experience to let know that yes, I am not the only one knowledgeable, but there's another huge range of people around me as well who can contribute a lot. So I think till a couple of our students, if they want to ask the question, we'll wait for them. I would want to ask if Mandar sir is around, if he would like to put his thought on this session.
He's here.
Yeah, I think he was here. I think maybe he must have missed.
Swanan, I guess there's a question from Anuj sir.
No, I think he just no. Okay, I'll just check. Yeah.
No.
Okay, yeah.
अनुज, तू बाद में मेरे अंडर आने वाला है थीसिस में, समझा ना? Sorry. Do you see a change in students, interns that are currently applying in your firm as a teacher? I see them is a shift. I see them as a shift. Amman, if you ask me a question, Anuj, better. You unmute and ask the question.
I just want, have you seen a change in the students that have come? Because while teaching for 10 years, I've seen that there are students who are exploring newer expression, newer software. Sorry.
Okay, there's the budding architect there who wants to question as well.
Lawyer. Not architect. Lawyer.
Fantastic decision. I'm telling you, Anuj, I have told my son at the age of 13 that you will never ever inherit my organization. Get out and do something on your own. And my entire organization will be given to the people who are working with me over a period of time. And that's a conscious decision. Sorry, again, I'll come back to your question. Do you see a change in students, interns that are currently applying in your firm, and where they explore new ideas through experience and collaboration via software, etc.? Yes, I think the younger generation is much smarter. I hope, Anuj, that's where you are going as a question, if I understand. I think the younger lot which comes to me are really brilliant. You will not believe that these two young boys who joined as intern in terms of you know, they were just freely given free work. There was no restriction कि तेरे को इतना ही काम करना है, तू यही drafting करेगा या यही काम करेगा. We just kept them completely free. Whomsoever needs the help as an assistant, they used to go and work. But the work what they have produced within that span of Tanvi, how many 120 days they worked?
Yes.
About
Yes,
120 days they worked us. But they must have done work right from assisting somebody in giving a sketch pen to designing a small area. Everything they have done. They assisted me and Saili for organizing a big event at a 3-day full day event at Bombay Exhibition Center.
IDAC.
Yeah. So they help me in doing. So these people, as you are rightly saying, they are far better equipped. The only problem with them is they have not decided the focus. They have too many things to achieve in a very small span of time. And then ultimately the life teaches them that so many things cannot be done in that small period of time. You definitely. So Anand, I had showed a video clip of millennials.
Yeah.
In class.
There was a lot of discussion also. Yeah, it was in our master's class.
Yes. So this instant gratification concept has to go away. Otherwise, life will teach young people in a very harsh way.
Yeah. So
I hope.
I think I think Anuj is really looking forward, but then as the thesis process go, Anuj sir, as I can talk about it as your senior, the faculties will also choose you later if they want to collaborate with you or not. I think Manda sir, I think is facing some technical issues. So I can ask Anmol sir if you're here, your thoughts for today. Anmol sir. Okay, I think many of us are facing a lot of technical issues, and I don't see Anmol sir online as well as of now.
He's online. He's there.
Okay.
He must be waiting to unmute.
Yeah. So Anmol sir, which I was trying to connect to him, he also has mentioned the way Hrishikesh, you mentioned about your own position. So even he has mentioned that he was also a chief operating officer in his space, wherein he also looked at the welfare overall. And yes.
So we are done? Or
I think so. Yeah. I'm just asking Urmila ma'am, if you're around, would you like to comment on today's session?
even ma'am is there?
Yeah. Because
I think it's been interesting to see the joint presentation and the profile of the way that they work. The fact that they are so comfortable and very confident shows that they've definitely grown as human beings after being part of the firm. And I think that is something which actually needs to be the carry away. But it's probably learned more by participation than by listening. So that's why I would encourage our students to go.
I think somewhere, ma'am, I'll just add to your statement that the belief that they have published in their which they've written in their publication, and and the way the team comes up, that people are their biggest assets. I think that is quite a learning from this entire session. We can see this as a very strong motto and a good learning for all of us here, that people are a big asset to each and every one of us to grow individually and professionally as well.
Yeah, completely.
Yeah. So I think that we are at the end of our session, and it's been a great opportunity and a privilege to talk to you again. I think after our master's discussion, it's been a long time since me and Hrishikesh had a chat like this. And thank you to Shalaka and Tanvi and Saili to help coordinate the entire session and be a part of the discussion as well. Yeah.
Thank you,
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much, Anand.
It's been a
Thank you.
pleasure. It's been a pleasure to talk to all of you all. Yeah. Thank you so much, and I hope that our students have taken a lot of learnings from this discussion. Also, just a quick reminder that tomorrow we have another insight session with Bobby sir from Ahmedabad. So we'll see all of you all again tomorrow at 4:30 p.m. Yeah, we do
We
join us.
would definitely love to listen to him. He's a far better orator and far better designer and expression. Your students will definitely love.
So we're looking forward for today's was also an amazing session. Tomorrow also we're looking for another session with Bobby sir. So again, I'll remind you everyone to be a part of it. So we'll meet you all again at 4:30. For the students, the link is already been shared, and for others as well, if they want to be a part of, we have sent the YouTube link as well. Yeah. So thank you everyone for joining us.
Thank you, Swanam.
Thank you, Shannon. Thanks. Thank you, ma'am.
Bye for now.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye bye. Thank you so much for this.
Bye.